What I'm going to ask us to do this coming period is to add, in our meditation, typically we're setting the breath in rhythm, we're encouraging the breath to be long and refined, we're feeling the magnetism in the breath, we're beginning to accumulate the sense of livingness in our body of light here in this body. We're identifying this feeling in the heart as love. We're cultivating this loving, connecting energy in the breath to our sense of the beloved. What I'm going to ask people to do at this stage of the practice is to connect lovingly with an illuminated soul that is close to you. And we're going to spend some time today going over this process of how we do this, and taking up as an example of it what Pir Murshid Inayat Khan gives in his lessons for teachers about the practice of Tasawwur Murshid. And I'm going to read this teaching of his and then go into it some more. Tasawwur Murshid. Tasawwur Murshid, or the thought of Murshid, and he means himself here, so you're thinking of Murshid. I mean, Murshid is kind of a generic term in one sense, but really Hazrat Inayat Khan is inviting us to really call on his presence, to think about him, to draw him close to us in a deep way so that we can use that as a way of elevating our consciousness and also becoming that. Tasawwur Murshid, or the thought of Murshid, is not given only that a murid may concentrate on a form from which he or she seeks their inspiration, but also that they may keep before themselves an ideal, not only to look up to, but to come up to. Not only to look up to, but to come up to. The whole secret is there's no separation here. He wants to offer you his being in this way of love in which he's practicing no separation, so that you can use the qualities that he has awakened as a pull for you, as something that allows you to come up to that in terms of your own state. Not only to look up to, but to come up to. This is like saying not only toward the one, but being the one. You see, this is involved in this very teaching. And this can be done by trying every moment of one's life to think as Murshid thinks, to see as Murshid sees, to feel as Murshid feels, and to act as Murshid acts in different situations. This is that practice of, you put on, as St. Paul said, the mind of Christ. He said, we have the awareness of Christ, we call on it. So in one sense, let's just break this down for a second and say, okay, how does Murshid Inayat Khan see you? How does he see you? Anybody?
As a beloved.
Beloved one of God. Mm-hmm. Everybody. He sees it. And what does he see in you to make you such a beloved one of God?
Himself. Potential.
The soul.
The soul in you, his own being, your potential, all the sacredness in you, what's hidden, but not to him, not to his eye. He will see that which is your potential, your soul quality hidden in you. When Murshid thinks of the world? Well, how do you think he thinks about this world? Can you imagine that?
Just playthings of God, just the manifestations and playthings of God.
Somehow just moving in the divine Leela, the play of God,
Even with all
the perfection of love, and all the divine qualities are somehow acting themselves out here.
Like Papa Ram does, is he's God everywhere he goes, everybody's mom.
Well, and there's also the thing about there was aphorisms I was reading yesterday about the heart being like a rock so that you can withstand the blows of this world, but then there's the love that allows, that's the part I don't remember. The left part, the other part I remember.
Laura, you were going to say?
Yeah, I was thinking of remember what he said, something about, seeing basically what we do, what we all do is sort of like kids playing with toys, sometimes not necessarily, maybe not always doing the right thing or the best thing, but seeing it because of just seeing it in kind of a light of just, just where people are, but it's okay, that kind of thing.
Acceptance of where people are, and yet looking at it, I think he said somewhere, what the world calls success is like a doll's wedding.
Adult, yeah.
If children are playing with dolls, you want to, okay, oh, beautiful wedding, lovely, nice, but that kind of sense of the play, not to be so absorbed in these limited vehicles that we lose sight of the divine perfection. All these things in other words, he's inviting you to remember him by, as Paul said, we just put on, we have the mind of Christ. We can think the way Christ thinks. We can feel the way Christ feels. We can act in that way. So that's part of it. And that means practicing no separation. Means that, okay, if I'm caught in a situation in which I'm conflicted, I can put on the heart feeling, put on it, Murshid's being like a cloak, and that, taking that in as an invitation to oneness, come into it. This can be done by trying every moment of one's life to think as Murshid thinks, to see as Murshid sees, to feel as Murshid feels, and to act as Murshid acts in different situations. Do you think his ego took a lot of pleasure in saying that or writing that? I don't. Not at all. I think he said it just so to throw us a life preserver, a lifeline. It's like, so that you would know, because people in our culture don't necessarily know that that's true, that you can have that. Yes?
Speaking from his own practice.
Yeah.
His practice with his teacher.
Yeah, and from the whole tradition. And, certainly this is the biggest thing I learned from Murshid Sam was practicing presence. That these qualities that I saw in him, which were so terrific, were not something to be put outside of myself. They were something to feel through the oneness of our connection, in the path of initiation, that they were already a part of me. Only I just needed to be aware of them. To not regard them as something other than me. To feel through the loving connection that they're a part of me and that I have access to them and that I can call on that presence. I was giving a talk at the Federation gathering a few weeks ago. Seems like years, because in the meantime we went to Arizona and did a whole Wazifa retreat and so on. But I was speaking about how the seeds of the message that an icon planted have taken forms in so many different forms and keep growing and growing through our continuing to cultivate the seed of it. And I said, well, you could, basically you could throw out the whole inner school if you could just practice Tasawwuri Murshid, I mean, you'd have it right there. It's all right there, and, by practicing that oneness. To feel it not separated from it. And when Murshid Sam passed away through an accident, much faster than we had imagined he would, he planted this seed in us of oneness, and we were able to continue to practice his presence, even though we weren't fully ripe by any means. But we had a sense of, a continuity of being that was not going to be denied. It was destined to fully manifest, and all we had to do was understand that we weren't separate from it and just to continue to grow with it as it expressed itself in us. Like he told me, I think I was the first one to lead the dances in his absence when he went to New York and for a month, and he asked me to lead the dances when he was gone, and he said, he says, you don't have to think about it. He said, just tune into me before you start and just feel into the way I am when I'm leading, and then just do it. Just do it from that place of oneness. And that always worked for me. So it's kind of like, it's a bit like method acting. Look, guess what? You drew the part of Ruhaniat Khan here in this play. How do you feel into it? How do you get into it? How do you put on the way he would act in this situation, the way he would feel, how he would view this? You're not going to have a whole bunch of lines to learn. It's going to be improv. So. Tasawwuri Murshid, or the thought of Murshid, is not given only that a murid may concentrate on the form from which he seeks his inspiration. In other words, I'm going to look at a picture of Murshid, and that's going to inspire me to do something. But also, that he or she may keep before himself an ideal not only to look up to, but to come up to. And you see, the teacher or the Murshid in this sense doesn't have to be perfect in any sense. They just have to be authentically connected with this whole stream of being and authentically connected with you. And so that allows you to draw the divine perfection through their own embodiment, because it's not different from your own. And this can be done by trying every moment of one's life to think as Murshid thinks, to see as Murshid sees, to feel as Murshid feels, and to act as Murshid acts in different situations. This means a perfect self-effacement, which makes the soul a mirror. The Murshid reflected in that mirror becomes the spirit of the mirror, and therefore one becomes the same spirit which one holds in one's soul. There have been several Buddhas in the tradition of Buddhism. Not only Gautama Buddha, who is known to us as Buddha, the other Buddhas were the ones who did not only look up to Buddha as the other Buddhists did, they came up to Buddhahood and became Buddhas themselves. That is the ideal to arrive at. After the Prophet Muhammad's time, there came caliphs who succeeded him. Every caliph of the 4 caliphs of the Prophet showed one or the other quality of the Prophet to perfection, if not all the qualities, proving thereby that They did not only follow Muhammad, but they became Muhammad. This is the whole secret of mysticism, which is neither studied in books nor merely attained by meditation. The whole secret of it is to make an ideal, to follow an ideal, and to become it. It is in this that the purpose of esoteric work is fulfilled.